Hi. In this video I will just say a few introductory words about the subject of ethics. And again, ethics is a word that we're all familiar with the word. But in some ways, like most words that we're most familiar with, in some ways what we really mean by the word can be that much less clear. The more frequently we use a word, sometimes the less we really stop to consider what we mean by that word. Often ethics is thought of as a set of rules or a set of conduct. And certainly that's part of what ethics is. But I think it's just as certain that doesn't capture all of what ethics is. And so in this short initial lecture, I would like to just offer a couple ways to expand our concept of ethics. So if we start from ethics as sort of just a prescription for conduct, like how to behave. This is when ethics is used in the context of professional ethics. This is usually pretty close to capturing the definition of that term. It's sort of a set of rules to abide by. Again, I think that over this course we'll be able to substantially expand what we think of and what we mean by the concept of ethics. Starting with ethics as a sort of a code of conduct for behavior, I think we should also include in our concept not only behavior and not only actions, but also, and this is something we're going to be studying through the course, what causes the actions. So in some way, when we think of ethics, it's a study of not only what we do, but also why we do it, right? And what are the motives, what are the motivating principles, what are the values that we are expressing through our actions, right? So already this is as though we've added a further dimension to purely talking about conduct. Conduct is something you can more or less observe externally, but that never tells the whole story. We're always acting for reasons. We're always acting out certain values, certain habits. In ethics, we're trying to encompass all of those things together, right? And so we're not only looking at the sort of external aspect of something, but we're also relating ourselves to it. And so in the context of performing an action, we're not only thinking about what the action is, but we're also thinking about, again, what causes the action, and this will always come to, it will always trace back to a person's motive or a value or a drive or a reason that they're expressing through that action. Another way to think about, this is related of course, and in some way all of these things are related in principle. How are they related? They're related under the rubric of ethics. So everything that I say, it might seem, I don't think it will seem contradictory, but it might seem like separate things. But it's not separate things, it's the same thing, approached from different sides. So I will add another entry point into a deeper or a further dimension of this concept of ethics. When I say that ethics is in some way a way for us to enter, or a way for us to conceptualize the fact that we are in some ways writing our own biographies. We're writing our own biographies. We're writing our autobiographies with every word we speak, with every deed we perform, with every action we perform. That we're writing another page in our lives, right? Each of us is in the midst of this. When we really though allow that to the implications to of that fact, basically, I don't see how somebody could argue with that. Everything we do, with everything we do and with everything we say, we are creating our lives. It's a kind of artistic or creative or poetic process of living that we're all engaged in, just in virtue of the fact that here we are. Ethics can give us a way to start to engage in this process and to participate in this process with much more clarity and intention behind the way that we sculpt and create and write our own lives. It gives us in some ways conceptual tools and ways to articulate what we do regard as the highest values, the highest good, right? The highest virtues. Studying ethics can give us a way to both make sense of this for ourselves, and also to be able to enter into dialogue with other people, and to be able to communicate about the most fundamental values that we hold. These can, in a similar way to what I said at the beginning, that the words we use most commonly, our most basic words, are sometimes the words we really know the least. In a similar way, often our deepest values, our highest values, depending on how you picture it, they can be sometimes the least known to us, the most unknown to us. But ethics can help us to make them a little bit less unknown to us. The last thing I'll just say in this brief introductory lecture is, this is of course related to the last point that I made about thinking of ethics as a way for us to understand our own the poetic or creative aspect of life, of living. We also, just like that seems to me to be a fact. I don't see how somebody could argue with that. It's also a fact, it seems to me, that not only are we living our own individual lives, that's true, but in fact, precisely because that's true, that means we are also living the life of humankind. So we're living lives as individual humans, and exactly for that reason, we're also living as humankind. We talk about the world today, right, or the state of the world, or society, or people, quote, people, right? And what we don't often think about, but what ethics can be an invitation for us to think about this. When we say, quote, the world, or quote, people, that's us too. And so ethics can be, studying ethics, this can be a way for us to, again, begin to participate in a clearer, more articulate way, more lucidly, in basically living in some ways, beginning to take part in the world that we wish to be a part of. So we basically create the world that we want to live in through our own actions, right? And again, we think of people out there or the world out there, but that's misleading because we are also part of the world. When I speak, it's me speaking, but it's also humanity speaking through me in some way. Everything that passes through people's lips, that's also humanity speaking through those lips. We don't think of this usually, but that doesn't mean it's not true. And in fact, it's in some way it's so obvious that we don't think it's necessary to think about. But ethics can, studying ethics as a subject, so ethics, it gives us the opportunity to approach these things that we often sort of just step over them or overlook them. But it can give us an opportunity to approach these things and really try to with real intention, right? And so So to really take seriously the notion that that the way I live, this is also the way humans live, because I'm a human, right? This is my individuality also contributes and participates in what I think of as the world. It's not as though there's me here and then the world there, or people there. No. I'm the world too. I'm people too. So everything we say in that respect, and everything we do, and everything we think of, it's never just an individual person thinking it in that way, in the atomistic way, I guess. And again, so studying ethics, it's an invitation for us to really consider the world in this light. Well, I hope that that some of the things that I said in this short introductory lecture can just stimulate new ways of seeing facts that were before you already. In some way, perhaps it can give you insight into things that you before saw but didn't really hadn't thought about in that way, or hadn't seen in that way. And then I hope that what I introduced in this video, that we can, over the course of our class together, we can try to take these ideas and together we can develop them. Right? We can allow these ideas themselves to evolve, and also our understanding of these ideas to evolve. So on that note, I will end this lecture, and look forward to carrying on the discussion in the next time that we meet. So farewell for now.